All right, now it's time to go to the guest line. Bring in Coach Nuimatololo of the Navy Midshipmen playing against Army on Saturday. Coach, welcome to Straight Up with Sturge, and thank you for your time tonight.
No, thanks for having me.
Hey, let's start with, Coach, we've got a pretty big rivalry here in our area that takes place every year. But give our listeners an idea of what it's like to coach and what Price and I call the best rivalry in college athletics.
Well, I think the thing about the Army-Navy game is that, like you said, there are some great rivalries in our country. They might be interstate or regionally, but I think the thing that separates the Army-Navy game is that it affects our whole country. Everybody that's American knows somebody that's either serving in the armed services or has a family member or somebody that they know. So I think it touches all of us. And so I think that's why it's different. It's a national rivalry.
Coach Nuimatololo joining us tonight here on Straight Up with Sturge. Coach, this is Price Atkinson sitting in with Mark, and I'm trying to make sure I don't call you Kenny tonight after getting to know you during my time at the Academy with Strass and the Sports Information Office, but we really appreciate you joining us tonight, especially having to rework y'all's schedule with exams this week, having to really change things up. But I wanted to ask you, kind of playing off what Mark just asked about the rivalry, but, talk about this game. The meaning, just really the meaning of this game as a game, but also beyond the game, just the meaning of what it means to the goals of the Navy program of winning the Commander-in-Chief trophy, and what does it mean to Academy graduates, service members in the fleet, retired naval and Marine personnel, around the world and in the country. What does this game really mean to everybody?
Well, when you come to the Service Academy and you come to the Naval Academy as a freshman, you don't have many rights as a human being. You're actually not allowed to talk, or you only talk when they tell you can talk. And one of the first things you're allowed to say is "Go Navy, beat Army," without getting in trouble. So it's something that's ingrained as a freshman. But like you said, this game is played out not only in our country but throughout the world. There are different people, stationed around the world that will be watching this game. But I think the thing that really resonates with me is I think about my first game in 1995. I was coming up on the buses at Veterans Stadium, and you could see all 4,000 midshipmen in their black coats and all 4,000 of the Corps cadets from West Point in their gray coats standing outside in the parking lot. And it was like a civil war. You had 8,000 young people there with different colors on getting ready to go into the stadium. And it just gave you goosebumps, just to realize that this was a unique football game.
Yeah, this one is. It's certainly Army-Navy is the America's game, Coach. And the Commander-in-Chief trophy. Just talk about Navy not being in a conference right now. That's going to change here soon. But talk about the goal as a program of that Commander-in-Chief trophy and what that trophy symbolizes and means to the program.
Well, it's our number one goal every year. Most people, are playing, to go to national championship or to win the conference. Our number one goal is to win the Commander-in-Chief trophy and have an opportunity to go to the White House. We kind of look at it this way, that there are only 3 football teams that are going to go to the White House every year. The college national champion, the NFL world champion wins the Super Bowl, and the team that wins the Commander-in-Chief trophy. So we feel like we're in a pretty good company there. So that's our number one goal. We would love to go to the White House again, and it never gets old for us, for our young men to have an opportunity to go to the White House and meet the president.
We're talking with Navy head coach Ken Nuimatololo. And, Coach, your midshipmen come into this game on Saturday at 7-4. You have a bowl berth in the Bell Helicopter Armed Forces Bowl against our friend Coach Rick Stockstill in Middle Tennessee, already locked up. Coaches always say the next game is most important, but how easy, or for that matter, how difficult is it to keep your players' attention on the task at hand Saturday and not be too amped up?
Well, we're definitely excited to be able to go to a bowl game. We recognize who we are. We're not a team that's, trying to be a BCS buster. We're excited to have an opportunity to win the Commander-in-Chief trophy and go to a bowl game. So when we are able to get a bowl bid and a bowl berth, we are ecstatic as a program. But I think more than worrying about a bowl game right now, our guys, I'm trying to make sure that we can focus on the game, because we have our finals this week, and the finals here are all encompassing. But just trying to make sure that our guys can, compartmentalize, and when we get to practice, not worry about, electrical engineering or chemistry, and just focus on football, so really, because of the finals, the bowl game, I don't think is as big of an issue this year because we're engulfed in our finals.
Coach, exam week's a little bit different, as you just mentioned, at the academy, at a service academy compared to, a regular university. It's all encompassing. I saw today where you had mentioned that this has been the toughest game week of preparation during Army-Navy week that you've had at the academy as an assistant or head coach. But what are some of the adjustments? I mean, what have been the challenges this week, and what have been some of the adjustments and changes you've had to make to really work around this, exam week and really big preparation hurdle, so to speak?
Well, our administration has been very supportive of us, but we're just trying to find a block of time when somebody isn't taking an exam. And when these guys do not have their exams, I mean, it's not like they can come over here and watch film or anything, because they're going to have to use every minute to make sure that they're prepared for their exams or writing their papers. And so, when there is some free time, they're engulfed preparing for their exams. And, the little times that we have them here, like we had a 2-hour block practice, and that includes everything, getting taped, practicing, showering, so we had a little over an hour practice to try to get ready for the game. I don't think there's too many coaches that have an hour practice before their rivalry games. It's just,
yeah.
But it is what it is. I know Army doesn't care that we only had an hour practice. We just got to do the best we can and find a way to get ready for this game.
Now, Coach, Keenan Reynolds is your sophomore quarterback from Antioch, Tennessee. It seems like, he's really the spark that makes your engine run. He's thrown for 1,000 yards on the season. He's rushed for more than 1,000 yards on the season. What makes this young man so special and quite frankly, a leader on your team as only a sophomore?
Well, I've used this, analogy in a couple of interviews just from the standpoint, but it's the best way I can describe it. I remember Steve Mariucci when he was the head football coach at the 49ers, and they asked him, why didn't they draft Tom Brady? And he said that everybody went to the combine and tested his 40 and his vertical and his bench press, but nobody cracked open his chest and looked at his heart or, looked at his brain. And I think that's the thing with Keenan. He's as tough and as smart of a football player that I've ever been around. He's not the biggest kid in the world. He's about 5'10", 185 pounds. But mentally, he's this tough guy that I've ever been around in the football field. He's just cerebrally a tough football player.
Coach, you've had the opportunity to work with just some of the greatest quarterbacks ever to walk through the door at the Naval Academy outside of Roger Staubach. You've had Chris McCoy and Ricky Dobbs and Craig Candido, and now Keenan. You answered Mark's question, but talking about toughness, the toughness he showed in your 58-52 triple overtime win at San Jose State with the NCAA single game record for quarterback rushing touchdowns was 7. I know he tweaked that ankle. What's his injury status, and how is that ankle holding up, with practice and leading into the game on Saturday?
Well, the one good thing about having a 3-week break before our game, it's allowed him time to recover. He's healthy. It's allowed our team to kind of rest up, from the bumps and bruises of the season. At this point of the year, everybody's banged up. Everybody's had major injuries. And so the 3 weeks has allowed us to pretty much get healthy and to be the best we can be at this point, going into our last game of the year.
Coach, as we let you go here, listen, you've had an awesome run of success as head coach at Navy against your counterparts at Army. Coach Ellerby is improving that program with Army. But just try to display what kind of pride for you when you're standing there on the field after a game in which you won, where you're standing there in front of your student body and your band, and you're the winner of that game. How prideful. I mean, your chest, the heart has to be pumping out of your chest at that point.
Well, you're just so happy for your team. You're happy for your seniors. That if you have the opportunity to beat your rival, just that everything that you worked for in the off season, everything that you pointed for, you've been able to accomplish. And I think the biggest thing, like you said, is just you're just so proud for the seniors because it's it for them. They're not going to the NFL. They're hanging up their cleats. They have their bowl game. But other than that, that's their last time to play their rivals. And hopefully to have an opportunity to send them out, the right way is just something that just gives you joy that's, indescribable. You're just very happy for them.
Coach Nuimatololo, one quick last question before we let you get out of here and get back to preparation. My condolences to you and your family on the loss of your mother back in September. I know you all were close. This Saturday, will you have a little extra special, you be thinking about her as this game kicks off and as you guys get ready to take the field and the first one she won't be able to see you coaching in this Saturday? Will be a little extra special for you?
Well, I just, this game first and foremost is, for our players and the seniors. But obviously, as like any person, you love your mother. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody you love in the world more than your mom. She's the most person that you probably love more than anybody. With your dad probably being close second, and when you get married, your wife's got to be up there. But I think the thing with my mom is, I still have her sticker that the players were able to make for me, and I just kind of keep that on my visor, just as a reminder to me that I'm thinking of her, without putting the emphasis on me, just making sure that it's on my players, but also just reminding me that, I'm always grateful to my mom. I wouldn't be here, obviously, if it wasn't for my mother. So just try to honor both my players and my mother, with most of the honor obviously going to our players.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time tonight. Go Navy. You yourself are one of the things that's right with college football, the Naval Academy, West Point, all of this. We see some of the bitterness and rivalry. This is what's right with college football. Thank you for your time and best of luck on Saturday.
Thanks,
Kenny.
Kenny.
For having you guys. Take care. Good seeing you.
All right.
Good luck, Kenny.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Coach Kenny Nuimatololo.
There you go. You get better and better.
Getting better and better. I'll have this thing down tomorrow. And what a wonderful perspective on it. Because listen, I see up close and the battles in the parking lots and things like that on rivalry Saturdays where people let things get the best of them. And there's nothing wrong with there being a little heat in a rivalry. But this is what's right. And again, Price, take me through your first year at the Naval Academy. Where did y'all play that? Were you in D.C. or Baltimore, D.C. or Philly for your first Army-Navy game?
We played the first one in 2000 was at the Baltimore Ravens Stadium. It wasn't M&T Bank Stadium then. But it was in Baltimore. Then finally got the next year in 2001 to go up to Philly. My first time in Philly was 2001, where the game was traditionally played. But I didn't really understand the totality of just what this game is all about. I followed sports and been into sports, just since I was a kid. But it's one of those kind of things where you don't realize the totality and just what this whole thing is like. It's kind of like the Masters. You hear people talk about, you just don't really understand until you've been to Augusta. And it's a lot of the same way going to an Army-Navy game. You just don't understand what this game means and how different it is. Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, Carolina, everybody says their rival's the fiercest, the nastiest, the toughest.
There's a difference between being nasty and being great rivalry. This is there's most people go, oh, you can't even put that in the same class with Alabama, Auburn, Clemson. And you're right.
Yeah.
Because it's bigger. We're dealing with kids that are the creme de la creme. You know, they don't really make exceptions for their football players at West Point or the Naval Academy.
It's a rivalry. It's the best rivalry by far. It's just on a pedestal far and away than anything else. It's so pure. These guys aren't paying for play checks to pay to play on.
They're trying to go serve on a ship for the next 2 years.
A lot of times these cadets and midshipmen who are going to take the field, in Army's case on Saturday, this will be their seniors' final game ever. Most all of them, outside of maybe 1 in 10 years.
Outside of Napoleon McCallum and 1 or 2 other ones, they've been very few and far between.
So this is it, and to see when they say you lay it on the field, all on the field, after this game to be on the field and see that look in the eyes of the kids who've won, but also the ones that have lost.
Well, I think it hits you more right now because, we really didn't want to bring this up to Coach, but right now Navy's won 11 consecutive games against Army and 14 out of the last 15. And a lot of them hadn't really been competitive, but the Army's closing the door on Navy a little bit under Ellerby. But when you really see the pain in this rivalry and how much it means, it's those Army kids the last few years that have lost 4 consecutive years to Navy, and you can see the tears in their eyes. They know they don't have another shot and that they're going to have to live with this the rest of their life.